how's everybody doing tonight? We are in week 2 of cis121. We're going to be going over tutorial 2 tonight. We'll do an in-class exercise on budgets, on your budget, and go over take-home, and then quiz 1 and 2 for tutorials 1 and 2. Okay? Let's start with the quiz first. The quizzes for tutorial 1 and 2, I'll go ahead and go into lessons real quick to show you. For week 2, here's the links for them. When you launch these, let me show you what it's going to look like. This is what it looks like here. All multiple choice, 10 questions. When you're finished, hit submit, hit done, or submit. You guys will hit submit when you're finished. And let me go to student view so I can show you what it's going to look like. Okay, I'll pretend I'm you, and you went through your tutorial reading, you've done the homework, and you're ready to take the quiz. You get maximum 3 attempts, unlimited times. Just make sure you're at a good connection, a good internet connection before you take these, and you should be good to go. So once you go through and finish these and hit submit, let me cancel that. You can actually hit save and continue later. What that's going to do, it'll prompt you and says your answer will be saved, but the assessment has not been submitted. Click OK to finish the assessment later, or cancel to continue taking. So if I hit OK and I come back here, notice the button says resume. I hit resume, come back, hit submit. Now when I come back to the quiz area later, it'll show me that attempted link there, what time I took it, and my score. I can click on that link and then review your incorrect answers before taking it again. Okay? So again, you have up to 3 opportunities to take it, and then you're done. So that's week 1 and 2, or tutorials 1 and 2, it's the same, 10 question, multiple choice. Any questions on that? It is untimed and it's open book, okay? And you can just do that on your own time. Then,
is that due before the next class?
By Wednesday.
By Wednesday?
Yep, everything's by Wednesday. Every due date is a week from today. Okay, so this week we're going over formatting a workbook. You're going to be doing case 1 assignment in EX104, page EX104, and then quiz tutorial 1 and 2. Everything's going to be due next Wednesday, okay? And technically it's not due till midnight of next Wednesday. So you have even till after the class next Wednesday. Hopefully you had a chance to watch the podcast. Each week when you come to class, there is a pre-class podcast to watch. We won't be covering all of the stuff in the podcast. I will be highlighting some stuff because it goes over the tutorial, and I give you kind of a detail and usually a little bit more than what the tutorial gives you. And we'll do that. We'll kind of highlight what I went over in the podcast with your in-class before you get started, and then let you go at it. So make sure you do watch that podcast each week prior to coming to class, and again, it's in each week's folder. Like this is week 2, week 3 has a class podcast. Same with week 4 after spring break. The only one that does not have a pre-class podcast is week 5. That's the one you come in, you'll do the final exam in class. Okay? So let's go on. We went over the quizzes. I want to go over the take-home, and then we're going to hit the in-class. The take-home is going to be due again next Wednesday. It's, again, a case 1. All of them are case 1, if you remember last week, from the back of your book. It starts out in EX104, and the beginning file it asks for is a frosty.xlsx. And let me open that up to show you what the beginning file looks like. It has 2 tabs. Documentation and glove sales. And since this is on formatting, you can probably guess you're just formatting the output this week, learning how that works. So that's the beginning document. And then the ending document for this one looks like this. Okay, so there's a beginning page on that one, beginning page on the ending. Second tab, plain Jane. Second one, ending, looks like this. Okay? And you'll learn how to do all that. In fact, I go over a lot of these features right here in the pre-podcast, the pre-class podcast. I go over a lot of this already. So, okay? So, as always, this is the solution file. You can look at if you want to prior to starting. If you do extra that's not on this one, on the solution one, that's fine. If it looks a little different, that's all right. And so don't worry about that. Just make sure when you are finished, you do submit it below here. The instructions just says to enter or paste your written work. You're just going to hit attachments like we practiced last week. Attach that final Frosty sale. Put your name in the title and submit it. Okay? Questions on the quizzes or the take-home for tutorial 2. All right? Now let's go and do this. If you'll go into week 2 with me, in the folder that says week 2 in-class exercise, it says my budget. You're going to download this file. You're going to save it immediately as first initial last name onto your desktop. You'll create your own budget. We started one last week. We'll just kind of piggyback on that one. And then you're going to upload it below. Full name in here, submit it, attach. So let's everybody go and click on the mybudget.xlsx. When you get this prompt in your browser, you can just go ahead and click open with, and then just click OK. You guys might have a different prompt than mine here, I'm guessing. But it should say Excel that it's trying to open it up with. Does it not? No? It's not doing anything. Let me pause. Okay, so everybody has what I have in front of you, correct? Am I waiting on anybody to get there? It's all right. Just kind of look at me when you get it done. While we're still waiting, let me talk about this spreadsheet that we're looking at. You'll notice underneath on lines 7 and 8, rows 7 and 8, it says there's a list on this workbook or worksheet, and there is a hidden tab on this workbook. Let's talk about those two terms right there, worksheet, workbook, okay? Workbook in Excel is a total amount of tabs in your worksheet. These are worksheets. A workbook is a gathering of all those worksheets into one book, okay? So you can think of the tabs as chapters in a book, okay? So if you remember the difference between workbook and worksheet, a sheet would be the pages within the chapter, and then the chapter is actually the conglomerate of the entire makeup of the entire book. And so basically you've got your different chapters here within your workbook, and the workbook makes up the entire file and all the tabs, whether 1 or 20. Does that make sense? So each tab is a worksheet. All tabs together is a workbook. That way when you start up Excel like we did last week for the very first time, it'll say book 1, I believe by default in 2007, 2010, and then you had to rename it. And so just to clarify that real quick. So you'll notice on the text here it says there's a list on this workbook, and I actually went over one on the podcast, and I already have one in here already. and there's a hidden tab on this workbook. There's a list on this worksheet, and there's a hidden tab on this workbook. So on this sheet right here, the household sheet, there is a list. Now go ahead and put your name, the city, and then when you come to state, you'll notice a drop-down is there. Select the drop-down for the state that you're in, and then the zip code. You'll have to manually type in the zip code. So on name, go ahead and put in your first and last name. Okay? And then do a Control S to save what we've done thus far. So we're going to look at the makeup of this one first. I have on that third tab what yours is going to look like when we're done tonight. But before we do that, I want to talk about the hidden tab and on the workbook, and then the list. The list was that drop down that you selected that had all the states. In Excel, I mentioned this in the podcast, you can have lists within a worksheet to have a drop down. Like in the podcast, I believe I had a drop down of different names of salespeople, I believe, that you could choose from. You can do the same with states, like what I did here. But you'll notice it says there's a hidden tab. So in Excel, you can create a list, and then from that list, create what's called a name data, and then from that name data, push it to, like in this example, a cell to where you can have a drop down for the users to select items, to have the correct input. So if you'll do this for me, down here at the bottom where it says household, if you'll right-click right on household, you should have an unhide selection. Everybody see that? Go ahead and select that. And it should pop up this dialog that shows one sheet that's hidden called states. Does everybody see that? Go ahead and click OK. Now it should take you to that states worksheet that was hidden. Everybody see that? All right. Now all this is from A1 all the way down to what? A50 is all the states of the union. And I showed you how to do this in a podcast, but I'll go ahead and show you how to do it again, just how easy it is. Take and select A1, click on it, click on A1, and drag down to A50. Okay, so A1 to A50. Everybody got that? And you just click on A1 and hold it and drag down to A50. Once you select them all, they should look like mine. And you can release your hand off your mouse once you've selected them until I have you go to the next step. And what we're basically doing right now is just getting a source for the list that we're going to use. And this list could be anything. We're going to be states here, but it could be months of the year. It could be regions. It could be sales people. It could be whatever. Product names. So everybody have that selected? A1 through A50? Okay, next thing we want to do is we want to go over into the Formulas tab. Click on the Formulas tab, and in the middle part of the Formulas tab, there's a Define Names area. Does everybody see that? Click on the Formulas tab, and we're going to go into the area of the Define Names. Before we do anything, I'm going to talk about this Defined Names area. Defined Names area, you can think of it as a Rolodex within Excel. And those names are pointers to places within Excel. Okay? It can be one cell or it can be a range of cells it's a pointer to. In this case, it's going to be a range of cells, right? From A1 to A50 that we're creating one name for that range. And we can use it wherever we want to within Excel. And the way we can use it within Excel is simply assigning a cell, you'll see in a second, to the equal symbol, and then the name of that name. And that's it. That's all we'll have to do. So everybody's in the name area. Let's go ahead and click on the Define Name. And right now it's going to put in there, I believe, AL because that's your top selection, right? We're going to rename it My States. States is already in there, but we're going to do My States. And notice, before we do anything else, that the scope is a workbook, meaning everything within every tab, every worksheet can use this name, every worksheet. And wherever we want to put it, we can put it. It also refers to equals states. States refers to the states worksheet, right here. It refers to states worksheet. And then the the exclamation point, dollar symbol, dollar symbol 1. We'll learn about that here in a bit. That is an absolute reference to A1 through absolute reference to A50. All right, and we'll learn about absolute reference, I believe, next week. We go into that, absolute reference. And so we have My States, we have our refers to. Now we can go and click OK. Then you should see over here on the left side of the screen a choice for My States, or you should also be able to click on that and see states available as well. Yeah, you can't put a space in it. I did not mention that. Sorry. I'll come around and help you. Okay. So you just right-click on that worksheet that you want to hide, and you select Hide, and it goes away. Okay. Now go back to the very first tab, the Household tab. And we're going to leave state as it is right now. I'm going to have you put one, I want to go to B6. Put your mouse on B6. Yes? You just need to go over one to the left. You're not all the way to the left. Down here, if you go down here. Okay. You might have hidden the wrong tab then. Or you might have hit more than one. You can hide more than one at the same time. All the way to the left. Okay, yeah, you hid the wrong one. So right click on the tab, unhide. Okay, you hit household. Now go to states and hide that. There we go. Now household's back. Okay, now we're going to talk where the cell is right here, B6. You guys are going to create a drop down on B6 like is on B4. All right, so everybody's there, right? B6, you got your mouse there? Pretty simple. Now we're going to go with our mouse on B6, go to the Data tab. And then we want to go over here to Advanced. Nope, sorry. My drop down's not working. Give me a second here. There we go. It's hiding on me. Over here, you guys should have data validation and data tools. Everybody see that? Drop down. Or just click on data validation. Click on data validation like I just did here. And this pop-up will come up. Where it says settings, allow, go down to list and select that. And then where it says source, this is where you're going to type in the equal symbol and then the name of your name, which should be My States, all one word, lowercase. So equals My States, and then click OK. And then you should have the drop down available to you.
Can you repeat that?
Yep.
After you click on data validation, what do you do?
Data validation, where it says allow, click the drop down, go to list, and in the source text box, equal symbol, my states, all one word, or whatever you named your name. It should be my states is what you named it. Then go and click OK. And then you should have that drop down available to you on that cell, correct? So what you just did is created a list name and then used it as a drop down on this cell. And again, any list that you want to make, you can do like we just did now. Create a new tab, put your list on that tab, highlight the list, name it, and then go to the data validation area. You want to go allow for the list, and then equal whatever the name is of that name that you created. Now if I was to click on this here, it does not give me any choices. That's why you have to remember the name, okay? This is one thing where you have to maybe write it down, or probably the best idea, maybe write it down, unless you're using it right then. Or you might have to unhide your tab, go back and see, okay, what did I name it? The other way you can figure out what your names are that are available to you is if I go back to my Formulas tab and go to Name Manager, it has all my names in there. So if you want to do that real quick, let's do that. Go to the Formulas tab and then Name Manager. It should have in there My States, Print Area, and States as the three names in your workbook, correct? And so this is basically the two names are the drop-down list for states. The middle one there we'll look at in a little bit. That's actually on the third tab we've not looked at yet. That's actually a print area that saves what's going to be printed onto a printer if we were to print out a worksheet. Okay? Okay, let's go ahead and hit close on that. Now let's go to the third tab, which says My Budget Secured, the third worksheet. And it should have on there at the top header information of today's date, my name, and then it has my budget, nice colorful columns here, row headers, utilities, mortgage, recreation, savings, total. And we did this last week where we showed you how to create the series, remember, January through December, and then totaling each one of these. We did that last week as well, doing a sum. So we're doing sum on the columns and also sum on the rows. The new thing this week is for formatting is making something plain Jane colorful, easy to understand, and easier on the eyes basically to understand the data. That's all we're doing this week. So let's go ahead and play with this one real quick and I'll show you what's going on here. If you go ahead and click on the A row right there, notice what does it say the name for this is, for this that I've got clicked on? A1, right? A1, meaning that entire row from here to here is A1. And what's happened here is merging. I've merged A, B, C, D, E, and F into one cell, merging those columns, and it's just now technically A1. And you do that a lot of times whenever you want to label something or make it centered and highlight it as a title. So we'll do that in just a second on your in-class exercise tab. The next information, we actually did this a little bit last week, just categories for your budget, just typing those in, nothing special there. But then color coding each one of these is real easy to do. In fact, if you click back on A1 with me and then right-click on A1, go down to, in fact, it won't give us to do it because I have it locked. Forget it. Won't let us do it. We'll do it on your budget in just a second. But anyway, by right-clicking on a cell, it gives you the options to format the colors, the border, the background color, making sure that there's lines all around it to where it's easy to see. And then this information here, if you highlight from B3 all the way down to B14 for me, B3 to B14, and we're going to go over to the Home tab, and we'll be doing this in a second on yours. This is what's called conditional formatting. Conditional formatting is where you see the range of numbers, and then it has a gradient colors from left to right depicting the total range from lowest to highest number. Okay? And so the lowest number in this one is what? 125. Highest number, 400, and everything in between. And so just by looking at the color-coded data columns or data bars, you can see easily what's the highest month just by looking at it, by the color coding. And that's done actually for mortgage, recreation, savings, total, and then finally down here at total. Okay? The other thing we'll do in just a second, once we format, create your data and format it, is you'll notice this little dotted line around all of the cells. That is the print area. Remember when we went and looked at the managed names, and one of the managed names was print area? That's what this is. And what this is this was actually, if we were to print this out, this would be all that would be printed. And the reason I know that is, if I go over here to, go ahead and do this with me, go to the File menu, and then go down to Print, and it should give you a preview. Everybody see that? And the preview that it's giving us is just the selection that's in the print area. Nothing else is printed out. All right, just that print area only. So go back to the Home tab. And to set the print area, it's real easy to do. Since this one's locked, we can't do it on this one. But it is very easy to do on setting the print area. So let's go ahead and do this. Go to the in-class exercise. We're going to begin building your budget using this worksheet as your guide to help you. The first thing I want you to do is something real difficult. No, it's going to be real easy. In the A2 cell, I want you to go ahead and type in my budget in the A2 cell. We're going to leave A1 open, even though I have A1 in the example, and we'll do A2 on this one. Okay? Now, once you have A2, you have my budget in there, go ahead and do this with me. Click on A1 and drag over to, let's say, we'll go to G2. Go to G2, just for example. A2 to G2. Once you've done A2 to G2, make sure you're still on the Home tab. We're going to click on this button right here, which is a Merge and Center button. Okay? The Merge and Center button. And then I want to go ahead and increase the font size to, let's say, 20. And we'll leave the font style Calibri, that's fine. Okay? Font size is right to the left of where you just came from, in the font area. 20 is fine for Calibri, somewhere around there. It doesn't have to be 20, it can be somewhere around there. Be 22 if you want to. Click on the Merge and Center, and then you just go up to the font size and change it to 20. That's all you got to do. Now do remember, I am recording everything we're doing here, so don't worry about jotting everything down. You can go back and highlight this on the podcast later if you want to. So we've highlighted, we've merged and centered, we've bumped up the size of the text to 20. All right, now go ahead and do a Control S, and let me walk around and see how everybody's doing here. So I'm going to have you right-click on that A2 cell, and we're going to go down to Format Cells. and this should pop up. Okay? As soon as you go to right-click Format Cells, this is what you should see. We're going to go to the Fill tab, and the Fill tab is just that. Whatever, this is going to fill the background of this cell. And so go ahead and choose kind of a lighter color background. And this will kind of, you don't want it too dark because we have black text right now. So I'll do this lighter kind of powder blue. And click OK. It doesn't have to be that color. You can choose whatever light color you want to. All right. Now what we're going to do is, see if you remember, I'll do this from last week. I want you to do a January through December. I'm thinking the example I did, JAN. You can do that too, because JAN will work. If I do JAN and then click on this, it will go all the way down to December with just JAN. Okay? So if you want to go ahead and do that real quick on A3 through A14. And what is that called? What I just do? Remember? What's this called? What I just do? It's a series fill. Remember, it's a series fill. We can do it with months. I can do it with numbers. I think last week I showed you how you can do like a 1, 2, 3, highlight it, and it'll do 4, 5, 6. We can do a 1, 3, 5. We can do a 2, 4, 6, and it'll complete that series. All right, so we've got our months. On A15, I want you to put the word total. And then I'm going to let you decide what you want for the categories for your budget. But we're missing something here. We don't have enough room here for our header information. So here's where I'm going to show you how you can insert a row in an area where you need to insert a row. Okay? In fact, we might have went over this last week, but if we didn't, I'll do it again. If you take your mouse and go over to the left of right over the cell here, 3, where mine is, and right-click, you have the option that says Insert, and it should put one right above that. And we should now have a new row, but you'll notice we have our color coding carried over from A2. We'll need to get rid of that. So before we do anything here, go ahead and highlight what I've just highlighted, which is A3 through G3. Highlight that cell reference range, right-click. Let's go to Properties, and we're going to change the color of this just a little bit. So this one was a power blue. I'm going to make this an even lighter. So you go and do the same, whatever color you want to. Just make sure it's a little bit lighter than that My Budget fill. Okay. And then I'm going to let you go ahead and type in B3, B4, B5, B6, and B7 categories for your budget. You can look at the example. I think there's 4 of them here. We're going to add a couple more. So you can make up those categories. I'll go ahead and type some in. You can use mine or you can use your own. Starting on B3. And I notice my font size is way too big. I'm going to have to bring my font size down for the... It's on 20 still, so I'm going to bring it down to like, say, we'll do 12. We'll do savings. Mortgage. Now what happens if I run out of room on my column? What do I need to do? Anybody remember? Yep, double click in between the columns and it should expand those columns to fit the data. All right, let me walk around. Okay, how many still working on that? Okay, now let's do this. I want us to highlight A2 all the way down to G16, just like mine. A2 through G16. And what we're going to do with this one is we're going to basically put lines in between the cells to where we can see what we're doing as we're typing stuff in. And then also, when we do a preview, we can see the lines of the cells as well. So again, A2 through G16, highlight that, and then right-click on any area that's highlighted. Go to Format Cells. I'll wait for everybody to get there. Then it should go to the fill column because that's where we've been, but we're going to go to another column in here called Border. The border column actually allows us to put the lines in here that's actually not in here right now. It is on the screen, but if we were to print this out, there'd be no lines, okay? And sometimes an Excel spreadsheet's hard to read if there's no lines to figure out what, numbers are in what columns, okay? So we're just gonna do something real simple here. I'm gonna do an outline. Well, first of all, here on the style, let's select, if it's not already selected for you, this line right here, which I think it should already be selected, but if not, you can click on it again. It won't hurt anything to click on it again. Again, it's this one right here. Just click once. For color, click on the drop-down. Excuse me. I'm going to let you select a darker color this time, other than black. Let's do something other than black, which is a default, by the way. So I'm going to do a dark blue or something, like a navy blue. All right, so I've selected my line first, color second. Now I'm going to go over here and select this button right here where it says Preset. I have none, outline, and inside. I want outline, and I want inside, both. So again, to recap, I selected a style of line first, this one right here, color, clicked on outline and inside. Now what you'll notice right here is it's going to show you what it's going to do to everything you've selected right now. It's going to put a box around everything you've selected, and it's going to put the crosshairs in there. Now let me just show you real quick. If I wanted to get rid of something, say I wanted to just have the vertical lines but no horizontal lines here in the middle, I can click on this to get rid of it. And then to bring it back, click on that again. All right? So these here will let you manually select each line, either bring it in or take it away. You can also put in there diagonal lines as well, both ways. All right? So yours should look like this. Once it looks like this, you can then go ahead and click OK. Control S to say what you've done. And before we go any further, what I want us to do is preview what this looks like right now. Preview it if you were to print it out. So let's go to the File menu, click on the Print area, and it should give us a preview there on the right side of what this would look if we were to print it out right now. Now, if you're connected to a black and white printer, it will look black and white. It won't have the colors. If you see it like this, you guys are connected to black and white in this classroom, and so it will be grayscale on your preview. How many sees a grayscale on your preview? Okay, that's normal. So at home, if you were to do this and you were connected to your color printer, it would show you a preview of color. So the reason you don't see the color is you're not connected to the color printer. All right. So let's go back to the Home tab. Next thing we're going to do is, before we put any numbers in here, calculations, or any data bars, I want you to go ahead and select A2 through G16 again. And we're going to basically go to the page layout area and set the print area. So page layout, and I want to click on print area one time, and then this will pop up, the choice to set print area or clear it. You should see that. Click set. That's when you'll see the little dotted bars show up around your worksheet that you're working on. and then do Control S. Okay, this is just going to help. Say we had other stuff on this. Say we had maybe, I don't know, some labels over here, some lists, some stuff.
Okay, we're going to enter in the data now for this worksheet. And once we enter in the data, then we're going to go and do fill background on the A column. Also within the data B4 through G16, do a fill there as well of a separate color that complements the foreground. Good. Now we're ready to go in and look at the data bars that allow you to demarcate the data ranges within your workbook or worksheet. And so this is actually going to be found up once you select it. It's going to be found up in the top in the data bar area. Okay, go ahead and select the range B4 through B15, and then we're going to go to the Home tab and Conditional Formatting, and we're going to select the data bars and gradient fill. And this is the area that we're going to use if we want to do customization, which or not, we're going to use the predefined color ranges within the gradient. But if we were to customize colors, this is where it would be done. So go ahead and select a corresponding color that complements the fill color. Next, we'll go to the header and footer section. Once we've filled on our data rows, hit on the insert header and footer. We're going to put in here the current date. Anytime we open up this worksheet again, it'll show the current date by going up and clicking on the current date button in the header and footer elements. It's going to give us that option for current date. So go ahead and click on the current date, and then it should show up in there in the code, ampersand, left bracket, the word date, right bracket, should show up here in this area. And as you click away is where it's going to show up the actual date as a preview once you click away from this cell on your worksheet, but you won't see it preview till you click away. In here, we'll go ahead and type in your last name, apostrophe S, space, family, space, budget. And then we'll go ahead and finish up with the footer information, and then we'll be complete with the in-class exercise. To upload this, we'll actually have you do a file, save as, and save this as a PDF. So I've got my header information. Now I'm going to go to the footer information here, which is at the top under navigation, on top of navigation in the design tab for header and footer tools. If we did want it to show here on this page, we could do the different first page for header and footer, but we do want it to show up, so we'll go ahead and click back on the insert tab, go to header and footer, and uncheck the different first and last for different first page. Now we're ready to go ahead and click on the go to footer button above in the navigation area, right to the left here. Once we do that, it's going to allow us then to enter in the footer information, which we're going to put in the date. We'll use the current time or current date we used for the header. Current time is what we're going to use for the footer information. It'll show current time anytime that this worksheet is viewed. Final thing is we just got to save this as a PDF and then upload this to the Dropbox. And that concludes week 2 in class assignment.